Welcome back to Andy and Anna Talks, where we explore the future of humanity through curious, deep conversations.
And today we're diving deep into something pretty crucial, often called the secret weapon for navigating that future, emotional intelligence, EQ.
Right. We tend to focus so much on, the grades, the resume, the hard skills.
Exactly. But this ability to understand and work with emotions, ours and others,
Mm.
it seems to be, well, increasingly vital for actual success, real world success.
Absolutely. And in a world that's just drowning in data and automation, maybe it's this human thing, this emotional connection and understanding that really sets us apart now.
hmm So that's what we want to get into today. We'll try to break down what emotional intelligence actually is
Okay.
and, explore why it might even be a better predictor of thriving than just raw IQ.
Which is a big claim, right?
It is,
Yeah.
and why it matters maybe more than ever in this like hyper-connected age we're in.
We'll look at some real examples too, I hope.
Definitely. Real world stuff, how it plays out in relationships and leadership.
Hmm.
Um, and the big question, can you actually get better at it?
Yeah, can you build it? And maybe some practical ways to do that.
Exactly. Some actual tips. So the mission really is to cut through the jargon and give you a clear sense of why EQ isn't just, a soft skill.
Not just a nice to have.
Right. It's pretty fundamental for navigating life, work, everything.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning then. What exactly are we talking about? Emotional intelligence.
Okay, so at its core, it's the ability to first recognize and understand your own emotions
Hmm.
and then manage them effectively.
Right.
And it's also about perceiving and understanding the emotions of the people around you and sort of influencing interactions positively, using emotional info wisely.
Got it. And Daniel Goleman really brought this into the public eye back in the 90s, didn't he? He laid out those 5 key parts.
He did, yeah. That framework is still super helpful. So first is self-awareness, just knowing what you're feeling, when you're feeling it, and like why, its impact. Then self-regulation. That's about managing those feelings, especially the difficult ones, controlling impulses.
So not flying off the handle.
Basically, yeah.
Hmm.
Third is motivation, that inner drive, pursuing goals with energy, resilience.
Okay.
Fourth, empathy, crucial one, understanding, truly understanding how others feel, seeing things from their perspective.
Mm.
And finally, social skills.
Which is kind of the culmination, right? Building relationships, communicating effectively, handling conflict, just navigating the social world.
So if we bring that down to earth, it's like, can you actually tell when you're feeling annoyed versus, say, disappointed?
Right.
And can you stop that annoyance from, I don't know, ruining your whole afternoon or making you snap at someone?
Exactly.
And maybe the toughest part, can you genuinely try to get where someone else is coming from, even if you disagree, and build trust from there?
That's it. And what's so interesting is you often see people who are incredibly smart, like technically brilliant, high IQ.
Top of the class types. Yeah. But they sometimes struggle with exactly this stuff. Team conflicts, taking feedback, just reading the room, the people skills gap.
Hmm. It really pushes back against that old idea that just being book smart is enough, doesn't it? We put such a premium on grades and test scores.
We do. And that's where this idea of the EQ gap comes in.
Yeah.
There's a lot of research now suggesting EQ is often a stronger predictor of long-term success
Stronger than IQ.
in many contexts, yeah. Especially in leadership roles,
Yeah.
overall job performance, even things like life satisfaction. Some studies show pretty big differences.
Wow. So IQ might open the door, get you the interview.
But EQ helps you actually succeed and thrive once you're inside. It's not just about being smart, it's about working smart, relationally smart, navigating the human side of things.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, why the surge in focus? Why does EQ seem to matter so much right now?
Well, you could argue it's always mattered, right?
Yeah.
Humans are social creatures, but the modern world has just amplified everything. The complexity, the pace, it makes EQ almost a non-negotiable now.
You mean because we're constantly connected, yet maybe more isolated?
Yeah.
All the information overload?
That's a huge part of it. Think about remote work, global teams. You lose so many nonverbal cues. Misunderstandings happen easily.
Right, tone in emails or Slack messages.
Exactly. So empathy becomes critical for bridging those cultural or communication gaps. Self-awareness helps you manage stress, set boundaries, avoid burnout, which is rampant,
Mm-hmm.
and self-regulation, essential for just communicating professionally when things get tense, especially online.
And then there's the whole AI thing looming, isn't there? As machines get better at the technical stuff.
Precisely. What's left? The uniquely human skills: empathy, collaboration, creativity, nuance, judgment, intuition. These are all deeply tied to emotional intelligence. Machines can't replicate that, not really.
So if you want to stay relevant,
Get good being human.
yeah.
That's kind of the bottom line. Cultivating your EQ is a pretty solid future-proofing strategy.
Okay, that paints a compelling picture. Can we look at how this actually plays out, like in a real situation?
Sure. Let's take a classic work scenario. Imagine a manager, right? And a team member misses an important deadline.
Okay, happens all the time.
Right. Now, a manager leading purely from, let's say, a high IQ, low EQ perspective might react immediately. Focus on the rule break. You missed the deadline. This is unacceptable. Here's the policy. Maybe a reprimand.
Yeah, straight to the consequences.
But a manager with high EQ, their first instinct might be different. It might be curiosity, maybe concern.
How so?
They might say something like, hey, I saw the deadline was missed. Is everything okay? Anything going on I should know about, or anything I could do to help?
Opening a door instead of closing one.
Exactly. It creates space to understand why. Maybe there was a genuine obstacle, a technical issue, a personal crisis. You don't know until you ask with empathy.
And the payoff for that approach.
Huge, potentially. You build trust, loyalty, psychological safety. The person feels supported, not just judged. They're probably more motivated to fix the issue and prevent it happening again. It's a long-term gain versus a short-term enforcement hit.
That makes a lot of sense. It's investing in the relationship.
Totally. And
Yeah.
you see it in networking too, right? You can list all your amazing achievements, but what people often remember is the connection. Did you listen? Did you seem genuinely interested? How did you make them feel?
Yeah, I know. I've definitely felt that. I'd much rather work with someone who's maybe not the absolute, smartest person in the room on paper, but who is thoughtful, collaborative, just warm. Makes a huge difference.
This human connection is powerful.
Uh-huh.
So we've talked work, but this obviously goes way beyond the office, right?
Oh, absolutely. It feels like the foundation for all relationships, doesn't it? Romantic, family, friends.
Totally. It's fundamental. Think about the flip side. Dealing with someone low in EQ in your personal life.
Right.
Maybe they can't express how they feel or they shut down your feelings.
Or they just dismiss them, like, oh, you shouldn't feel that way.
Right. Which is incredibly invalidating. It creates distance, frustration, loneliness, even in a close relationships.
Mm-hmm. Whereas being with someone who is emotionally intelligent.
It's a different world, isn't it? They can say, okay, I'm feeling frustrated right now because they can listen to you, really hear your emotions without getting defensive. They can take responsibility, apologize genuinely.
Yeah, that ability to own your stuff and say sorry.
Yeah.
Huge.
It's massive. And again, it's not about being perfect. Nobody is. It's about having the self-awareness to catch yourself when you mess up and the willingness to repair things.
Okay, so it really does underpin so much, which brings us to that key question. Are we just stuck with the EQ we have, or is this something we can actually build? Like going to the gym for your emotions.
Huh. Yeah, kind of like that. And the really good news is, yes, absolutely. Unlike IQ, which seems to be relatively fixed after a certain age,
Right.
EQ is widely considered to be a set of skills. And skills can be learned, practiced, and improved throughout your life.
Okay, that's really encouraging. So if someone listening wants to, level up their EQ,
Right.
where do they start? What's step one?
It really has to begin with self-awareness. Sounds basic, I know, but it takes practice. Just pausing intentionally during the day, asking yourself, okay, what emotion am I actually feeling right now? What triggered it?
Just noticing without judgment, maybe.
Exactly, yeah. Just observe. Naming the feeling is powerful. Because once you're aware...
Then you can move to self-regulation, managing the response.
Exactly. Once you recognize, say, that flash of anger or defensiveness rising up, you then have a choice. You can learn techniques to manage that impulse instead of just reacting automatically.
We've all been there, right? Reacting in the heat of the moment and then regretting it later.
Oh, absolutely. Who hasn't fired off an angry email or text they wish they could take back?
Guilty. That urge is strong sometimes.
It is. But developing strategies to create a pause, that's key. Like that classic advice. Write the angry email.
But don't send it, at least not right away.
Right. Sleep on it. Or even just wait an hour. Give your rational brain time to catch up with your emotional brain. That deliberate delay is self-regulation in action. It's EQ practice.
Okay, so it is buildable. It takes conscious effort. What are some other, practical things people can try without needing to become, emotional robots or overly clinical about it?
Yeah, good point. We want this to feel natural.
Okay.
Okay, tip 1. Try journaling your emotions, just briefly. Doesn't have to be pages. Just jot down, maybe daily, felt X when Y happened. It connects language to feelings, helps with that naming process. Remember, you can't manage what you can't name.
Makes sense. Okay, what else?
Tip 2. Listen more, talk less. Simple, but hard. Really focus on understanding the other person, what they're saying, and maybe feeling underneath before jumping in with your own stuff.
Yeah.
Resist interrupting.
Active listening.
Yeah,
Harder than it sounds.
it really is. Okay, third, get curious, not judgmental. When someone's behavior bugs you, instead of jumping to conclusions, ask yourself, I wonder what might be going on for them. It shifts your perspective, builds empathy, like mental empathy reps.
I like that. Empathy reps. Okay, fourth.
Try incorporating short bits of mindfulness, just a minute or two a day. Focus on your breath, notice sensations. It helps you become more aware of your internal state, your emotions as they arise, without being swept away.
Just creating a little space.
Exactly. And finally, number 5, this one takes guts, but it's powerful. Ask for feedback. Ask people you trust. How do I come across sometimes? Or how did my comment in that meeting land with you?
Oof, yeah. That requires vulnerability.
It does. But hearing how you impact others is gold for developing self-awareness and social skills. Invaluable insight.
Okay, those are really concrete. Let's zoom out one last time then. Thinking about leadership and the future of work again. How central is EQ there?
It's becoming increasingly central, I'd say. The best leaders today, the ones who truly inspire and get results, they're almost always highly emotionally intelligent. It's not just a nice bonus anymore. It's often the defining factor.
What does that look like in a leader?
They listen deeply. They connect with people on a human level. They understand what motivates their team. They can read the room, navigate tricky situations with nuance, inspire trust. They're perceptive.
And as automation and AI handle more of the routine tasks,
Right, the value shifts even more towards those human skills machines can't replicate. Empathy, collaboration, creative thinking, navigating ambiguity, building relationships, all tied to EQ.
so we need fewer robotic managers focused only on process.
And more leaders who can handle human complexity, foster psychological safety, and inspire people through connection and understanding. It's really becoming essential for organizational health and innovation.
So it sounds like whether you're leading a team or just navigating your own career and life, developing EQ is, well, it's not really optional anymore, is it?
I don't think it is. Not if you want to thrive, connect deeply, and navigate the future effectively.
Okay, let's wrap this up. What's the main takeaway here?
I think the biggest thing is shifting our view of EQ. It's not soft. It's a core competency. Maybe the core competency for navigating our complex world.
And the benefits go way beyond just climbing the career ladder.
Absolutely. It leads to better relationships, more connection, feeling more grounded and authentic in your own skin. It's about overall well-being.
And it's a journey, right? Not about suddenly becoming perfectly emotionally regulated overnight.
Definitely not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about showing up with a bit more presence, a bit more curiosity about yourself and others, and just being willing to learn as you go.
So the encouragement is really to lean into developing this for yourself and maybe for the ripple effect it has on everyone around you.
Exactly. Because that kind of success, the kind built on emotional intelligence, connection, empathy, you just can't capture that on a resume, can you?
No, you really can't. Well, this has been fascinating. We'll see you next time on Andy and Anna Talks. And until then, stay emotionally intelligent, friends.
Or at least emotionally curious. That's a fantastic starting point. Final provocative thought for the listener. Think about a recent interaction where emotions played a significant role. Hindsight is 20/20. How might approaching that same situation with a greater awareness of your own and others' emotions have shifted the outcome? And what's one small, actionable step you can commit to taking tomorrow to cultivate a bit more emotional curiosity in your daily life?